I mean, you should be able to make art uh, within 3 feet from where you're sitting right now with your camera, and and that's really important. It's an important reminder. You don't need to go to places. You can make art with your camera in your own room, in your own house, and I think that's a good reminder. And I love when I open people's eyes to that because all of a sudden their world just becomes bigger because they don't have to travel, they don't have to go to fancy places to actually learn to see and practice and learn. So you only learn by doing, really.
That's it's an interesting thing. You're absolutely right. When you say that you can create art literally 3 feet from where you're sitting, because I remember, like, especially on the camera club sort of scene, people are very often set in the thing that they do, like they shoot wildlife,
Mm.
and that's what they do, and they love doing
Yeah.
it. There's nothing wrong with that. Um, but when you're in a situation where you just can't shoot wildlife every day in the same way that you've done before, you know, you could try something else in the
Absolutely.
house, or like a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, started doing that. I think during the pandemic, he's a musician, but also likes to shoot wildlife. So he set up instruments in his garden and just waited for birds and squirrels and stuff to
Oh,
interact with
fun.
those. And that was his thing. That was his project. And he turned it literally. I
Yeah.
think he's still doing it.
There's been,
It's
oh, so much creativity during the lockdown, and some countries had a much harder lockdowns than others. So I
yeah.
know in the UK or in France, it was pretty rough. And actually, that's when I started teaching contemplative photography because I realized that people around me, or we'd do, I'd be chatting with people, and they're like, "I haven't touched my camera I haven't in weeks," and then I started to say, "Okay, I can help, I can help," and so I started, putting together an ebook, and then I started teaching that class, which has been hugely successful, and it kind of, for some people, it was like a breath of fresh air, and I felt good about it because I'm like, "Oh, making a little difference. I'm helping a little bit, even if it helps 10 people." That's good because those were dark, dark days, as well. Like, I'm working on a project right now called One Love, and it's moments of everyday life in the LGBTQ plus community. There's never been a more a more, pressing moment than today, to do this project. It's so important. And so use your photography for good things. It will help you, it will help others. You have the skill set of being able to tell a story in a frame. Use it, use it.
Yeah.
It's such a powerful medium that, and so you can help people, you can make a difference. We're not gonna make huge changes, obviously, but we can all make little changes, right? And it all adds up. And so use your photographer for that. I think, and other things as well, but you have the chance to have that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
A few years ago, I worked with Joshua Coombs and the Do Something for Nothing movement. And I worked with him with the homeless communities in Paris and New York, and to really raise awareness. And it was not only a very I mean, what he does is amazing, and and we showed the work. People cried. People don't know um, who is out there on the street. It could be you and me. I mean, especially in the United States, everybody is a paycheck away from homelessness. It's scary times, and homelessness has never been a bigger problem here than it is today. And and the misconceptions. I mean, I learned a lot. I mean, everybody has um, preconceived ideas, and working on the project and talking with those people, sharing laughs and tears and hugs while I was doing the project, and hearing the stories that those people were. I met veterinarians that were sleeping on the streets. I met people who came from other countries because they were promised a job and never got the job and were too afraid to go back home because they were embarrassed. And so we can do that. We don't have to travel to do that. You can do that in your own town, wherever you are. There is something that needs to be documented, that needs to be shared to the world, to bring awareness, to put a face and a name to those people, and bring awareness. So use your photography for awareness. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it could be, as you say, it could be absolutely anything, because if
Mhm.
nobody knows about it, nobody can ever do anything about
It could
anything.
be go to the dog shelter, just, use your photography to help, the adoption process of those dogs that are waiting for a forever a home. It can be anything. You really can make a difference, of course, it's never gonna be something huge that's gonna change the world, but it's, step by step, brick by brick, right?
Exactly. Now,
So
in in the intro to this episode, I mentioned the word um, constraints, and we cut into that a little bit when we talk about gear. Um, how can we or how can photographers sort of turbo boost their creativity by actually minimizing what they do, or by constraining themselves in some ways?
okay. Oh, you'll have to rephrase that, I'm sorry. So what do you mean?
So,
What they can do with their current gear, or
well, it could be gear, or it could be it could be, yeah, it could be gear, or it could just be their strategy and how they approach,
okay.
for instance, how they approach going to shoot, street photography, for example. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed that clip, then press here for the full episode in glorious Technicolor. Hey, and don't forget to subscribe.